Now we learn that climate change is spinning the Earth off its axis. Of course it is, lovies. And presumably part of the cause of that spinning off its axis are all those rising sea levels sloshing around. Oh, hang on. As climate skeptic Patrick Moore points out, take a look at this photo of a calm lagoon in the tropics of Indonesia. Notice the sea level is well below the level of erosion on these limestone islets. As Patrick says, how can this be happening if the sea is steadily rising? Limestone does not corrode or erode this quickly in even a few hundred years. If anything, Patrick concludes, the height of erosion indicates a lower sea level now than thousands of years ago. Indeed, our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, merely has to walk to the bottom of his Kirribilli garden and look across at Fort Denison, where he can clearly see the high tide mark is identical to what it was recorded back in the late 1800s. I wonder if he pointed that out to Joe and Greta in their ridiculous Zoom climate summit. Meanwhile, after an historically cold and record-smashingly snowy winter, parts of Siberia have finally been experiencing a little spring warmth, or rather they were, before this week's return of an Arctic blast. According to Electroverse, in just a few hours, 17 centimetres of snow fell in Pavlovsky Posad, which is the highest ever recorded in books dating back to 1941. In 80 years of records, said one expert, there has never been such a snow cover in the second half of April. And in Crimea too, it has been an exceptionally cold April, supposedly the first month of spring. The UK too was hit by its frostiest April on record, with many farmers and growers reporting considerable damage due to the harsh conditions. Bet they were hoping for a bit of global warming, but they didn't get any. Provisional records from the Met Office for April show the United Kingdom has experienced the most air frosts since records began in 1960, with an average of 13 days of air frosts for the country, topping the 11 days set in April 1970. And April is also, of course, to be Denmark's coldest for at least 35 years. The Copenhagen Post this week described the intensity of the sudden cold weather as eyelid freezing and crazier than Christmas. They have a way with words, those Danes. Thermometers plunged to as low as minus 6.2 degrees Celsius near Horsens, nearing the all-time late April record low set in Nore Soreg back in 1981. And finally, Belgium is also suffering its coldest April in years. According to the Brussels Times, the average temperature in April has not been as low as this since 1986, which was, I might add, during solar minimum cycle 21, suggesting that it is solar activity, or the lack of it, that drives the planet's climate, rather than farting cows. Ooh, did I say that? I'd better wash my mouth out with this organic, handcraft, artisan, goat milk, eco-friendly avocado bar of soap. And finally, exciting news out of Britain, home of James Bond, the Avengers, Smiley's People, and M. Richard Moore, the new Chief of Britain's Secret Service, has just announced that the foremost international foreign policy item for this country and for the planet is, you guessed it, climate change. Ooh. Which he says means the big industrial countries like China will now be spied on by MI6 to ensure, presumably, they are using enough solar panels. Forget the planet spinning off its axis, Ian Fleming must be spinning in his grave. Maybe Prince Charles could go undercover and spy on the Chinese. I mean, when it comes to the Brits, as Paul McCartney once sang, there ain't nobody but spies like us.